do it anyway. Baby, would you ever want to be my girlfriend? I don't wanna play no games. This is more than just a phase. Baby, would you ever want to be my girlfriend? If you want it, let me know. We could make this official. Don't we look perfect, baby? Let's take this further, baby. Just a little, all night long. If I was your boyfriend, I'd be giving you all my time. Now just a little, all night long. Can't stop till you're lying right here next to me. I should stop, but I think I'll do it anyway. Baby, would you ever want to be my girlfriend? I don't wanna play no games. This is more than just a phase. Baby, would you ever want to be my girlfriend? If you want it, let me know. We can make this official. Hold on, you're making me. No, baby, no. Hold on, you're making me. Oh, no, baby, no. But I had to do it anyway, I had to do it anyway, I had to do it anyway, I had to do it anyway. Baby, would you ever wanna be my girlfriend? I don't wanna play no games. This is more than just a phase. Baby, would you ever wanna be my girlfriend? If you want it, let me know. We can make this official. Hold on, you're making me. Hold on, you're making me. Oh, no, baby.
I don't know what it is about me. I don't know anything. Pocket full of honey and I'm ready to go. No, I ain't got no money, but I'm letting you know that
control. Kill me slowly with your kiss. Wrap me around your fingertips. Damn, I need another hit. Make me lose my mind. Hallucinate when you call my name. Got stars in my eyes, and they don't fade when you come my way. I'm losing my mind. Hallucinate when you call my name. Got stars in my. Tastes like strawberries on a summer evening, and it sounds just like a song. I want more berries and that summer feeling. It's so wonderful and warm. Breathe me in, breathe me out. I don't know if I could ever go without. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if I could ever go without watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high, watermelon sugar high.
Hi, Marty. Thanks so much for joining us. My desktop doesn't have a camera, so sorry you can't see me, but I'm the level 5 leadership here. We really appreciate you being on. We're also live on Facebook, and we're recording this so we can pass this on.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I felt like it was just Layla and I hanging out since Layla's the only one with her camera on. So that's all right. We'll still knock it out. No worries at all. There's Barry. Barry heard me talking about him on the camera there. So are we ready to go ahead and just jump in and get started? That sounds good.
Yeah, get started.
Perfect. So I'll introduce myself, and then we'll kind of jump into Facebook ads and some different styles of campaigns and some different things that we can do. So my name is Marty Miller. I am the regional technology trainer for the South Texas region. That includes Houston, San Antonio, Austin, all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley. I live here in Katy, Texas with my wife, and we have twin 6-year-old daughters, and little Lily Mae is going to be due any day now. We are on week 36 of an amazing pregnancy and can't wait for her to enter the world. So I've been with Keller Williams for 7 years now. I started off as an independent agent, like many of you most likely. Joined a team shortly thereafter, so about 4 months in, I became a team member for one of the top teams there in the market center. I have worked with buyers as a buyer's agent, moved into the listing agent role, took over as our VP of expansion when we opened our second office. I came back to the hub and became the VP of sales, and then ultimately got to be the president of the team when my mega stepped out to do commercial projects. So I did that for almost 5 years, and then moved on from there to become a productivity coach with Lance and Karina Loken, Randy Olive, the market center here in Houston, and did that for about 15 months. And then this position came along, and obviously had an amazing opportunity to take this, and been very excited about it as well. So glad to be with you guys here today. We're talking about campaigns, specifically kind of Facebook ads and some different techniques to run those to have results and kind of walk through that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We've got that set up. And there we go. You guys can see my screen, correct? Let me get this little box out of here. And Wendy, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen.
Yep, all good.
All right, perfect. There we go. So starting off, we're going to get into campaigns. Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate it. So we're going to jump into campaigns and start off here in the dashboard. Normally, I would see all your faces, so I'd say give me a thumbs up if you've run an ad before, but maybe put it in the chat whether you have or have not run an ad. So you can just put I have or I have not, throw that in the chat, just so I have an idea of familiarity levels of those that are on the call. So if you've run an ad, I have. If you have not run an ad, I have not. All right, so we've got 1 have not and 2 haves, and there we go, a few more have nots. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna end up probably about 50-50, which is good. All right, perfect. So those of you that have, I'm gonna go through a few basics. My apologies, but you may pick up some tips that you weren't aware of. And those of you that have not, pay attention because we're gonna go through all of it together. So when we, first of all, I'm gonna show you my dashboard of my paid ads and kind of talk through some strategies there. And then we're actually gonna go through the process of creating an ad, doing some targeting and giving you some tips there. So once I click on paid ads, you can see all of the ads that I have run historically kind of within the last, I think it's defaults to 6 months. A couple of things. When you run an ad, there's gonna come a point in time where you are asked to decide between using a Facebook lead gen form and utilizing a landing page. That's an important decision to make. If you are looking to generate leads, then typically you are going to want to choose the Facebook lead gen form. If you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, don't worry. I'm going to show you where that step is when you create the ad. But just generically speaking right now, if you want the leads, you want to use the Facebook lead gen form. Some people might be saying, well, Marty, why wouldn't I want leads? And what would be the other option? The other option is to use the landing page or direct to landing page. Now you may be thinking, well, does that mean if I get the lead, they don't go to my landing page? Yes, they're still directed to your landing page either way. However, when you use the Facebook lead gen form, Facebook's algorithm is doing its best to deliver on the money you paid them, meaning that it is putting your ad in front of people that they believe, that the algorithm believes, or I don't know if that's a he or she or they or what, that it believes is more than likely to click on the ad. So typically your impression count, meaning the number of people that see the ad, is smaller. However, the impression to click ratio is much higher. If you just want the exposure, meaning I just want people to see my listing, see my brand, see my name, see my pretty face, whatever that may be, then you can go the landing page route, just knowing that I'm not going to get any leads. However, my impression count would be significantly higher. Think about it like this. When we do lead generation, there's a couple of different strategies. There's a lot of different strategies. And yet one of those might be to buy a billboard. Now, how many of you, right, just, you can put, I have called a billboard, but I'll wait. How many of you actually have ever called a phone number off of a billboard? Typical response rate that I get, right? Nobody calls a phone number off a billboard. And yet, if you needed, right, if you got into an 18-wheeler accident, for example, you would probably know who to call, right? If you needed and that's just the most common billboard that I see driving all over South Texas, right? I feel like there's one every 10 miles. And so that's the difference between a billboard. They see your name, they see your brand, they see your logo, they see what you're all about. Now, when it comes time for them to buy or sell a house, they're not going to go get in their car and drive to that billboard and write down the number. They're probably just going to do a Google search for your name, end up on your site, and then they can contact you from there. So did it have the impact? Yes. But did it lead to a direct lead? No, because really it was the Google search that got you there. Door knocking. If I go door knocking, I'm looking to contact people individually, face-to-face, in hopes of capturing their information, having a conversation that would lead to a future listing or buyer or both. Now, how many doors can you knock on any one given day? Like if you really went for it, throw it in the chat. Like what's the most number of doors you have ever knocked in one day? Anyone ever done 100, 250? Layla's like, nope, that's a negative. Wendy, how many have you done? Karen says 60. Susie, can you beat that? No? Aaron? No? All right, so we might think 60 is the max, right? Now, let me ask you, how many people do you think drive by any given billboard in a day? Probably a lot more than 60. Unless you're buying that billboard out on some like rural country road out in the middle of nowhere, right? You're most likely going to get more people seeing your billboard than the doors that you can knock. And so to tie it all back together, I was on a panel for Family Reunion and I was doing some testing to speak with knowledge about this topic. So you can see on my screen, there are three different ads that I have run that were exactly the same ad except for one small change. So you can see I ran an ad for open houses happening in Katy. I ran an ad on a new listing that I borrowed from somebody in my market center. And then I ran an ad for Keller Mortgage. The only difference between each one of these ads in these duos is the fact that I changed it from Facebook lead gen form to landing page. Now look at the impressions. I ran the open house ad and even all of these ads, 10 days for $30. That's just kind of my standard. But 568 people saw this ad that had the pop-up. Now I got 12 clicks and 3 leads, which is cool. However, look at what happened when I did straight to landing page. I got 14,000 impressions. 14,000 almost, right? Impressions versus 568. Why? Because in this case, Facebook was doing their best to put the ad in front of people they felt would likely click on it, which means they didn't put it in front of people they felt like wouldn't click on it. When you use the landing page option, they're like, we're just going to put it in front of everybody, right? Because you don't care whether they click on it or not. You're not looking to get the lead. You just want the impression. You want the view, right? So that's just kind of laying a little bit of groundwork. You have to know your strategy, right? And do I want to work internet leads might be the question you ask. Because I do know some people are like, Marty, I don't really want to work internet leads, but I certainly would like my seller to know that I'm doing something. Okay, great. Well, you can run an ad for direct to landing page and then tell your seller, I got your home in front of 20,000 people. In this example, literally for $30, I got almost 20,000 people saw that listing. So that's the difference. And we'll see that when we get there between landing page versus actually using the Facebook lead gen form. When you look here at the top, you're going to see that I've got an ad that's actually paused and then it's active again. And you're like, well, what happened here? Okay, I'm going to show you when you start doing your targeting, it's important that you keep an eye on how the ad is doing based upon that targeting. So this is an ad on a listing that I just took, and I used Houston as the center of my actual targeting. Well, unfortunately, I did a 20-mile radius and didn't realize until later that the property was just at the edge of that 20-mile radius, meaning that the majority of the people are not close to that listing. So I actually went in after a while. You can see it was running for, what did it end up spending? Almost $11. So 3 days, and I'd gotten 1 lead. Paid $11 for that 1 lead. That's too much, guys, right? We shouldn't be paying that much for our leads. So as I started to see, hey, this is not doing well, I went ahead and paused the ad. What's going to end up happening is it's going to run through the end of the, whatever that it's going to be, July 22nd, but I'm going to have a credit. Does everybody see that? I spent 30 bucks, but it only ended up spending 11. So in my account, I'm going to end up with an $18 credit that I can later apply to my next ad. So that's another thing to know. If you want to pause an ad because it's not doing well, you can't like cancel it, but you can stop it. And then when it runs out, anything left in your budget will show up as a credit for you to use as your next ad. So if the ad is not performing well, guys, don't be afraid to stop it. Look at what you have done. Check on, okay, so is it bad photos? Did my description not do well? Was my targeting off? And then go through and recreate the ad, duplicate it, and customize it, and change some of those things in hopes of it performing better. Last thing, these 2 ads. So you can see this is a listing ad in Bridgeland that was just listed, and so is this. If you guys have followed me at all on the 66-Day Challenge 4.0, you'll recognize these ads because these are the ones I actually used during the challenge. This ad, I did not put any special interest involved in. Okay. And as a benefit of you guys being on the call, I'm actually going to let you take a screenshot of the special interest that I used so that you can then use them for yours. Okay. But 0 special interest used on this ad. Now I generated 8 leads with 44 clicks. That's not bad, right? 44 clicks, 8 leads, paid about $3.75 per lead. However, then I reran the exact same ad, but all I changed was adding in the special interests. And now you can see I've spent 26 of my $30. So I've still got $4 left. And I have created 13 leads. 8 leads the first time, 13 leads. Look at the number of clicks. I'm almost at 3 times the number of clicks, 115 versus 44, and almost double the number of impressions using. And I still have $4 left, right? A day and a half to go. So I'm going to show you special interest and how to add those into your ad. Before we dive into the creation of the ad, does anyone have any questions? I'm kind of watching chat. Looks like chat's quiet right now. Anyone have any questions, or if you want to just unmute yourself and give me a shout on the dashboard or just kind of overall concepts of Facebook ads? You guys are quiet.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, Sabina.
Yes, I did campaigns before, and I was
Huh?
trying to duplicate one, and it says that my page, I don't have a page. When I go to the settings and I see that this says the page is connected. So I did have a problem with it in the past. I had a hacking, so it's really hard for me now to get it working again.
Great question. So let's do this. Let me walk you through what that process looks like. If any of you ever hit an error in creating the ad, and they can be diverse in what they say and what they're about, it's actually a multi-step process. Most people know to come into their settings menu, right? Click on the drop down, click on settings. And typically what I see most people do is they're going to come in, they're going to click on manage, and then they're going to disconnect, right? So you disconnect that one. And then you're going to come down to Facebook Ads Manager, make sure you manage and disconnect this one. However, typically what most people don't know about is that they also need to disconnect KW Command from Facebook. And so when I say that, and I have a video for this, if you guys get stuck, feel free to email me and I'll send you the video. But go to facebook.com, you're going to click on the settings menu in Facebook. So you're going to come down in your Facebook account to Facebook's settings. And when you do that, on the left-hand side, you're going to see a title called Business Integrations. Okay, when you click on Business Integrations, you're going to see all the people that are connected to your Facebook account. One of those is Keller Williams API. Okay, you're going to want to click on View and Edit. Right? I'm sorry, not View and Edit. You're actually going to click on the square next to, and then click on Remove. So you have disconnected Facebook from Command. That's what almost everyone does. But you've also got to disconnect Command from Facebook. So when you do that, it's going to give you a warning. It's going to say, hey, do you want to delete any posts, videos, or events? Don't do this, because that undoes all the social work you've already done on your pages, right? So send notification to Keller Williams API that you removed it. They may offer you another way to log in. You would click on Remove. Do not click this box, but click on Remove. And then what happens is that fully disconnects you. So then you can come back into Command and then reconnect your post scheduling and your Facebook Ad Manager. And typically, now Sabina, I'm not going to tell you that 100% will correct your issue, but typically I've seen that about 95% of the time will allow you to reconnect. Also, just make sure that you have a business page, right? So you cannot connect KW Command to your personal page. You actually do have to go build out a business page in Facebook, because you can't run ads on your personal page.
Yeah, I do have one, and I created campaigns before, so yeah, it should work. Thank you so much. I'm gonna try to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's do this. Since you guys are in the chat, I'll just put the link to the video. That way you don't all have to email me. Or you can do exactly what I do and search for my own video, Marty Miller, and then just do troubleshooting Facebook. And this is the video right here. So I'll put this in the chat if you guys want to copy this link. Then it walks you through that process. I did it pretty quickly, obviously, because I've done it several times, but it'll walk you through the process. So there's the link there. So if you guys want to save that link or bookmark it or whatever, if you do hit a wall with any kind of questions or issues, then you've got that link. Cool. All right, so we're going to create a new campaign. I'm going to click on create a new campaign, and I'm going to choose a social paid ad. So let's start here, campaign name. Guys, it's important that your campaign name is, it's as descriptive as possible, right? So don't just put new listing or Main Street or even 123 Main Street. There may be times where you want to run an ad on a property more than once. Right? So maybe it was just listed, and then you want to run an ad for the open house, and then you want to run an ad for just sold. Well, when the leads are coming in from your Facebook ads, they actually will tell you which ad they came from. And I'll show you that in a second when I go into the leads. You'll see in the leads information which ad they clicked on. So if it just says new listing, well, what if you're running more than one ad for more than one new listing? Then you're like, which one did they come from, right? And then if you're looking and maybe you're following up with a lead 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, I don't know, 6 months from now, and all it says is 123 Main Street, well, crap, was that the just listed one or the just sold one? Which one are they following up on, right? So typically I name all of my campaign names with the address and then whatever it is about. So just listed, just sold, open house. You know, obviously when I was doing that open house one, it was open houses in Katy, and then I even had the date because I was planning on running those ads. It didn't do very well, just to be transparent, so I stopped doing them. However, just make sure it's as descriptive as possible. Then you've got 8 goals, okay? 8 goals listed here. These 7 don't change much with regards to the actual ad itself. The only one that has an impact is really this advertise multiple listings. You need to know if you're going to advertise multiple listings, a couple of things. One, you cannot use the Facebook lead gen form with advertise multiple listings because you literally are creating up to 5 separate ads that are all being run at once. So because you're creating 5 separate ads within one ad, there's no way for the Facebook lead gen form to be added to all 5. So just a heads up there. On the rest of these, don't stress about it. It has 0 impact on the results. It has a very small impact on the way that the building out the ad is going to look, but you can tweak any of that when you're in the ad itself. So I've had people that said, well, I used advertised listing and I got, you know, 25 leads, so you should all use that. You got 25 leads because you had good pictures, good contact, a good call to action, a good budget, right? It didn't have anything to do with the fact that you chose advertised listing, attract listings, etc. Okay, so I would still, right? Typically you're looking for buyers, you're looking for more listings, or you want to advertise the listing, but choose the one that makes the most sense. Just don't lose sleep over it. Like this should literally be about a 2-second decision, right? Okay, cool, I'm going to advertise my listing. Where will your campaign run? So guys, you have the ability to select 1 or more of these. I can do all 3, I can just do 2, or I can just do 1. The cool thing about running them on Facebook and Instagram is there is a feature that will allow you to have a flex budget, meaning that if I put down I want to run $30 or $50 or whatever it is between the 2, because Facebook and Instagram are co-owned, the algorithm will say, where's the ad doing better? And it will direct your money more towards whichever one it's doing better. That being said, the lion's share of ads that I have seen run or have worked with people in running ads have been run strictly on Facebook. Those of you that are maybe in a younger generation and you update your Instagram more than once every 6 months, I think the last thing on my Instagram is our wedding. I got married in last May. So that tells you how often I update Instagram. But you know, choose a campaign or choose a platform that you are familiar with and are active on, because otherwise, what's the point, right? So I'm going to utilize just Facebook for this example. I'm going to click on set up the campaign. Now, because I chose advertised listing, it slides in this window to choose listings. Now, if you did attract buyers, you wouldn't have this. But if you wanted to attract buyers to your listing, you could still come in where it says no listing selected and just click on add a listing. This is all you have to do to get this to slide out, okay? Here's the deal. I've had, depending on your MLS, and I don't know y'all's MLS, and I know every MLS is sometimes a little wonky even in itself. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes for the MLS to show up in KW. Sometimes it takes 24 to 48 hours, right? Most of you have received copies of the photos from your photographer before you have gone live, correct? Has anyone ever gone live without photos? Like typically you have the photos, okay? So if you cannot find your listing, don't stress. I'm gonna show you how to pull in photos from your hard drive. Obviously it's nice to have it, but it's not required to attach it to a listing. So let's just say we're gonna advertise my new townhome listing here. So I would just select this listing and immediately it's gonna bring in the lead photo, okay, the lead photo. Now, my advice is don't be boring, okay? This is boring. Does this tell you anything about the house? Cool, it looks like it's 3 stories and it has a garage. Sold, right? That's pretty boring. So even if I had a really captivating picture of the inside or the outside, I would still recommend that you use designs to make your ad look sharper, more professional, more attractive. Okay, we'll talk about that in just a second. But because I've selected this townhome listing, it brought in the first kind of sentence or two of the public remarks I used in the MLS to describe the property. I wouldn't recommend that you use that copy. Guys, you want to give them a reason to click on it, right? You want to kind of entice them, but don't give away everything. Now, I'm not a country boy, so if I say this wrong, my apologies, but I think the saying goes, why would you buy the cow if you could get the milk for free? Is that correct? Does that sound right? Arlene is like, yes, I think that's correct. Was I close? Maybe? I don't know. I think that's the saying. Bottom line is, if you give them bedrooms, bathrooms, floors, price, address, and when the open house is, why would they click on the ad? You've literally just told them everything, right? You have literally told them everything they need to know, but then you're asking them to click on something. And by the way, submit their information to you. So don't do that, right? When you're going through the process, you want to make sure that you give them just enough, right? Leave a little to the imagination, I think is also the saying. So I think my ad on this one literally says something along the lines of, now it did set it in the heart of, so check out this beautiful townhome. And I think I said in the heart of Rice Military Washington Corridor. Now, why am I leaving this area in? This is a really hot area in Houston. It's where a lot of the 20-somethings hang out. There's a lot of kind of, you know, cafes and bars and restaurants, and it's kind of the cool place to be in Houston. So that's why I left that in there. I do want them to know kind of where it's located, but I'm not going to give them the address. Then I'm going to give them a little bit about the house, right? 3 stories, wood floors, stainless steel. I type really well until people are watching me and you make me nervous. So stop watching. 3 stories, wood floors. I'm just kidding. Stainless steel appliances and more. Pricing, location, private tour, and more photos. Click below, right? Why would I click on it? Guys, think of them as sheeple, right? They literally are on the phone. We know where most of the time we do our scrolling on Facebook anyway, so they're not 100% focused on the ad anyway. So why would they want to click on your ad? Oh, if I want photos, I need to click on the ad. Oh, so you're telling me if I want the price, I have to click on the ad. Tell them why they have to click on the ad. Because otherwise they're going to assume that you just left off the price and you're an idiot, right? No, I didn't. I left it off on purpose so that you would click on the ad. So make sure that you choose something that gives them a reason. That's what we call the call to action. Why would I click on the ad? Well, you're going to click on the ad if you want the price. Well, I do want the price because I want to live in Rice Military. Cool, click on the ad, right? So give them a call to action. The headline is reinforcing that call to action, right? So 30 more photos, pricing and address. Right, so then they know, okay, great, I need to click, right? Now, the description is really only good if you're going to use a landing page. So remember how I talked about the billboard? If you use the landing page route, then the description will show up. But if you use the lead gen form, the description goes away. Watch this disappear later, okay? Ad media, we talked about it. This is a boring photo of the front of the house. This isn't a designs course, so I'm not going to teach you how to create a design, but I would recommend that you consider creating something in designs as compared to a boring photo of the front of the house. Once you've created that asset in designs, it's as simple as clicking on the 3 dots and saying, I want to change this image. And then I can say add images. Now you see, because I chose that listing, now some of you might have a really amazing photo that's going to attract a lot of people, right? So it's the backyard oasis. It's the 17-acre forest behind the house. It's the aerial, it's the twilight dusk shot. There are some photos that literally generate a lot of interest. This is a somewhat boring, basically vacant townhome. I didn't have any real like, ooh, ah shots, right? So you have to make one. So I click on add images and I want to bring it in from designs. I went into designs, I used the template, I created a good looking, at least in my opinion, asset and said, cool, this is what I want to use. So I'm going to say, this is the one that I want to select. And then you'll see the nice thing is because I actually created it in designs, it's going to be a perfect fit when I go to crop. I don't have to crop anything. It's actually built for Facebook. Okay, so does this look a little bit better than this? So again, it's also a matter of typically your client is going to see the ad or you're going to send them a copy of the ad and you want it to look more than, oh, look how much work I put in it, 2 sentences and a boring photo of the front of the house. Okay, so do a little work so that they know what they're paying you for. Next, you've got the DBA or logo positioning, right? Now, I don't have my DBA included here because my DBA was automatically created when I built the design. Check with your market center. I don't know your rules and regulations. In Texas, we have to have a DBA on every marketing piece created. They have to know if I find offense by the fact that you have, you know, I don't know, whatever. I don't like this flower and I want to find out who to report you to. They have to know which market center and which brokerage was responsible for this ad. So that's just in Texas. If that doesn't apply to you, then don't worry about it. If it does apply to you and you're putting a boring photo of the front of the house, make sure that you add the DBA. Next, you're going to come down to Facebook ad. And I saw that there was a question there in the chat about, hey, I'm not having the best luck with getting leads in. Lots of impressions, but no leads. My guess is this is what happened, and I'll show you in just a second. Essentially, you chose a billboard instead of door knocking. So when you come in and you've connected your Facebook account, you're going to see your account is connected. And if you have more than one page that you might run ads on, you'll see all of the pages. Excuse me. So I'm going to select my business page. Now, what happened? Y'all remember I told you it's going to be a little magic trick and that little description was going to go away? Do you see how it's gone now? Right? So don't spend a lot of time worrying about this portion of the text, because if you use the Facebook lead gen form, which I typically recommend, this is going to go away. So I've had people that have painstakingly down to the last 250th character written out a masterpiece of prose and then got frustrated because now it doesn't even show up on the ad anymore, right? So just know that if you're using the lead gen form, this will go away. Back to Facebook ads. So we've got two choices. Guys, if you hear nothing else during this entire discussion, hear this now. You need to choose one of these two. This, use a site or landing page, is the billboard. They don't have to pay to play, meaning that as soon as they click on your ad, they're going to get taken directly to your landing page. Wherever you wanted to send them, they're going there. They don't pass, they just go straight there. I'm going to say don't pass go direct to jail, but that doesn't make sense. So you are going to get 0 leads. So that's typically what I see when someone says, hey, I had a great number of impressions and clicks, but no leads. It is most likely that you selected use a site. Be careful. There are some ads. Remember how I told you the 7 boxes? They have very little impact on what the layout is. There are a few that say use a site or landing page by default. Okay, I'm working with KWRI. My opinion is that they should all be lead gen form by default. But know that some of those goals that you click on by default will say use a site or landing page. You need to make sure you come in and choose use Facebook lead gen form if you're looking to garner leads. Okay, so that's most likely what happened with the great impressions, great clicks, no lead scenario. And I've had that conversation with many a person. Next, you're going to have the landing page. Where do you want to send them? Guys, this can be a variety of places. For me, I typically use my KW site. I literally go to martymiller.kw.com. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to search for the actual property. So this may take me to, there we go. So here's the property, right? You guys recognize that. Click on it, and this would be the landing page I send them to. Why would I send them to this landing page? Well, first of all, it's got my name and logo and branding on it. Second of all, if they ask your agent, who does that go to? Me, right? It doesn't go to the 4 premier agents on Zillow that are all going to blow up their phone for the next 16 days, right? So send them somewhere where you'll get the leads back. And this is regardless of whether you choose the landing page option or not. schedule a video tour, guess what? They're gonna have to then register on my site, which means I'll get an alert. They'll now be in my command tied to me, and then I can market to them from there. You could also consider, if you wanted to, using your local MLS. But again, remember, like depending on your MLS and how well it's set up, sometimes you get those leads back and sometimes you don't. HAR, Houston Association of Realtors, we have a really nice site that's built out, and they send the leads back to me as an agent. However, again, I would just prefer to use my Keller Williams stuff.
Marty?
Yes.
Quick question. Have you ever worked with Matterport tours? Would you put them here as a destination URL?
You could. So the question was Matterport tours, would I send them there? I don't know your market well. I will say Matterport tours, they work well for a specific clientele, I guess. I don't even know if clientele is the word. Like some people are turned off by Matterport tours because they're overwhelmed. They don't know how to work the technology. They're like, what is all this stuff? I just want to see pretty pictures of the inside of a house. But yes, you could send them to the Matterport tour. Now, here's the question. It's been a while since I've used Matterport. Is there somewhere on that page where if they wanted more information, they could click to get you?
I'm going to double check the video. Now it is branded to me, so at least my information is there. Now, if there's links or anything, that I don't know. I would need to double check that.
And so that's kind of the question is, how do I get them back to me, right? How do I make sure that they still come back to me? So the other nice thing is if they click on my landing page and they're like, I don't really like that one. I wonder if there's anything else. Maybe there's something in Katy. And now all of a sudden, where are they? They're still on my site. So any other property that they go and they find, they're like, oh, maybe we want to live in a brand new house out in Katy. Well, let's choose this one. Okay, cool. Yeah, that looks pretty. Boom, ask your agent. It still comes back to me because it's still my site. This isn't my listing, right? So if they'd gone to the MLS, clicked off of my listing and went to somebody else's listing, then that lead is going to go to that agent. So that's why I like to keep them kind of in my ecosphere, in my landing page, if you will.
But now with that, wouldn't you collect the lead as a Facebook lead? Because if like you're advertising, like, do you want to see this house? Like if you were in it, you know, click here and blah, 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 you get the lead, right? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
But you lose them.
Paula, let me ask you, you got to be honest. Have you ever registered on an internet site using fake information? I'm sure you've never done
Oh
it.
yeah, a lot. No, absolutely. And well, I have done, and I've gotten some internet leads, and 50% of the phone numbers don't work, and emails I don't get responses. Yeah.
Typically I get Tom Cruise and Donald Duck and some other colorful and not so appropriate names come into my database every now and then. However, when they get to the landing page and they're like, this is a house I would like to see, maybe I should give the guy my real name and number. Right, so the leads that come in from the
they're better.
Page, they're like, yeah, I gave him BS information because I didn't know if I liked it or not. But now that I actually like it, I'll go ahead and tell him my name isn't Tom Cruise. It's actually Marty Miller, and here's my real number, right?
And you know, when they schedule a video tour, I can send them the Matterport then.
100%.
Oh,
yep,
okay, that works better.
So that's why I give them a second shot because, you know, we'd like to believe they're all honest when they're filling out their information, but how many of us, right? We change the last digit of our phone number and then we put at Gmail instead of AOL or Google, whatever, right? So know that obviously with internet leads, and it's a larger discussion. And I would say, guys, just so you know, like this is a long game, meaning that when I'm generating internet leads, I know full well going into this that I am probably going to need somewhere between 50 and 100 leads to convert one transaction, to have one closing. So I know that going in, and I'm okay with that. I've got to pay $2 to $3 per lead. So I'm looking at investing somewhere between $150 to $300 for a closing. Guys, even if I have to invest $500 for a closing, my average price point commission-wise is 10 grand. At $500 for a 10 grand close, 10 grand payday, like that's a pretty darn good ROI. I mean, I would pay you guys 25% for the referral. I'd pay you $2,500. And that's a lot of times what I hear is people are like, well, I don't want to spend a whole lot of money on internet leads. Okay, cool. Well, I have a referral for you. Will you pay me 25%? Well, yeah, absolutely. So right off the bat, you'll pay me $2,500, but you won't invest $500 working internet leads? Well, it's because you have a buyer qualified, ready to roll. Sure, I understand that. And that's why it is a long game and you have to leverage it, right? Facebook leads and those types of things. So follow-up destination URL. This is where you're going to actually put that landing page. So this is the page for that listing. I would literally just copy this. I would come back in and then paste it in. This is where they're going to be taken to when they click on the ad, regardless of which way you go. And so someone else said, why is the landing page option even there? I have a lot of people that say, I don't want to work internet leads. I just want exposure for my listing. Cool. If you go this route, you will get significantly, sometimes 16 to 20x, meaning 20 times the number of people will see this ad than will see this ad. It's exactly the same ad. But remember, Facebook is attempting to put this ad, when I select this option, in front of people likely to click on it. So that's why it's smaller impressions, but higher click rate. Now let's get into ad targeting. Okay, ad targeting by default, if I'm using a listing, it's just going to pull in the location of the listing and then typically a 20-mile radius around that location. This is the property that I told you when I did 20 miles. I was like, cool, that works. And then it was having really crappy results. I actually pulled the center of Houston, right? Those of you that don't know Houston, you can drive from the north side of Houston to the south side of Houston for 2 hours and still be in what we call Houston, right? So 20 miles, here was the center of Houston, here's my 20-mile radius, and here's my townhome, way out here on the outskirts. And I was like, man, I gotta figure something else out. So be careful about that when you're choosing your location. To get into special interest or to edit these types of things, you're gonna use custom settings. Okay, so use custom settings. You can see as soon as I toggle that on, I start getting some additional options here. Target my database. You guys, you can target your database. So if you choose target my database, it's going to ask you to create an audience, right? Just think about that as a list of people I want to target. I can create a new audience. I can title that audience name, right? So let's just say Keller Williams Agents. This is just an example. I want to target by tags. And then I'm going to say, okay, let's do Keller, KW, how about agent? There we go. All right, so I could just go through all of my tags and select the tag that I want to utilize. And I now realize that there's a limitation on the number of tags that show up, so I'll get that reported. But bottom line is, here's the deal. Facebook, if you're going to target the database, needs a minimum of 100 emails that have been used to log into a Facebook account. So I have 900 plus agents in my database, Keller Williams agents in my database. When I went to create my database for Keller Williams agents, you know what it said? Not a valid list. Why? Raise your hand or tell me in the chat, how many of you use your kw.com email address to log into Facebook? No, right? You're using that email address you had when you were 14, when Facebook first came out, right? Some of you when you were 2, whatever it might have been, right? Because that's the same one you've always used. So know that when it comes to targeting a database, you have to have the email addresses that they're using to log into Facebook, which can sometimes be tricky because most of us use the garbage email that we just want all the spam to go to log into Facebook because we don't want all of that other spam coming in. So just a caveat there. Target and custom audience, so I can change that location. Here's what I actually did, guys. It's nice that in Houston, there are actually some neighborhoods that have actually incorporated to become miniature cities within Houston. And so I found 1 or 2 of those that were closer to my townhome and actually used that as the city that I was targeting. So I think it was Hunters Creek. And as soon as I start typing, you're gonna see it's gonna search, and then you can see it was Hunters Creek Village. So I chose Hunters Creek Village as my new target. So just know that if you're typing it and you're moving too fast, you gotta give the system some time to start searching. So I could put Miami, Florida, and then it's gonna start saying, okay, here's all the different areas that we have within that area of Miami, right? So you would choose from there. Radius, I can go down to 15. I can go all the way up to 50. Okay, why can't I go below 15? Well, go back to real estate school and look up redlining, right? We're not allowed to target something less than 15 miles. And Facebook has been at the brunt of several different issues with regards to redlining and those types of things. So their housing ads, they're very adamant that the smallest radius you can target is 15 miles. So I could come back in, let's just say I'm gonna go back to Houston, Texas, and I'll do the radius. Now, add or change interests. Some of you are like, the only reason I'm still on here is he said he was going to give us his list. So thanks for staying on, and here's the list. Give me 1 second, and I will show it on the screen. No, I won't. Where is it? Here it is. Here it is. There it goes. Microsoft was being shy today. All right. So take a screenshot, grab your camera, whatever you want to do. If you can write really fast, it'll be fun to watch. Turn on your camera so I can see you write it all down really furiously. I'll leave it up here for a while. Now, what are these? These are special interests that I would recommend that you use when you are setting up your ad. So you're literally saying, hey, Facebook, I don't want to send it out to everyone. I want to send it out to people that may be interested in any one or more of the following interest groups. Okay, so they have somehow expressed interest in Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, mortgage, insurance, loans, or calculators, house, townhouse, house hunting. And guys, these lists, they get constantly added to. This may not be a comprehensive list. What I would love is if you have some interests that you know of that aren't on this list, do me a favor and email them to me. Right? So I'll show you mine and then you show me yours. If you have any other interests that you're aware of that aren't on this list, I would love to keep building this list and then be able to give it out to other people. This list, if you're doing my 66-day challenge, is also on one of those videos. I think it's video 20-ish, somewhere in there, 18, 19, 20. The full list is on there. And I actually show you how to add those interests. So I'm going to assume that you've taken your screenshot or you have these written down or you've memorized them, whatever it may be. But that's the list from there. So how do I add special interest to my ad? Essentially, as you're building out the campaign, again, you have toggled on custom settings, and then you're going to say add or change interests. Now, luckily, the system defaults to or. Do not come in and change this to and, because that would mean that you are interested in Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia and mortgage insurance and mortgage loans and so on and so on. You would be a unicorn, right? Like literally I'd be looking for a certain person that had all of these interests. That's like hitting the lottery. So make sure it's not and, that it's or. Okay, so select or, and then essentially guys, you're just gonna come in and you're just gonna start putting these in, right? So KW Miami Beach, here's what I'm doing. See, I can copy and paste with the best of them. All right, I'm gonna come back and clean up that list. Thank you, whoever that is. So there we go. So we're just gonna start in. I'll just start on that list that you put in there. So real estate. So I type in real estate, it's gonna start bringing them all in, right? So I don't want real estate brokers. They already have a license. They're gonna get their own commission. But real estate investing, that might be a good one, right? We've got on there real estate, waterfront homes. I like that. Waterfront, especially down there for you guys. So waterfront homes, and that one's not coming up. Maybe it's waterfront. Let's see. Maybe we'll just put in water. And like I said, these interests do change regularly. I've had some that have shown up and some that have not shown up. So I'm like, why are these not showing up, right? So basically, you're just going to come in and start typing in these interests. And then as you see them come up, KW Miami Beach, were you guessing or were those actual ones that you've used before? So homes.com, then I could do mortgage.
No, I was just guessing.
Oh, okay.
Because yes, we are the king of waterfront homes here. And I also just now thought it should also be like condos, something like that. 90% of our, I'm the team leader in Miami Beach. 90% of our business is condos.
Absolutely. And so you can go in and actually look to see, okay, are these, right? I don't want a mortgage broker, but mortgage insurance, right? Someone that has that. Let's just see. I've never done anything with condos. We don't have a ton of them out here. So, yep. So condominium could definitely be one that you add. I don't know if that's on my list, but if it's not, it's about to be. So, and essentially you would just go through this list. Now I can verify that all of these should be available for you to select. Okay. So work through, add all of those interests. Condominium, I think I spelled that right. So add all of those interests, and you'll see down here at the bottom, your kind of scrolling list of how many you've added. And then once you're done, click on Save Selection. So now you can see that instead of just saying, hey, Facebook, target anybody, you're saying target people that have interest in, and here's the estimated audience for each one of those groups. Okay, so I'll tell you, I didn't believe in special interest, and now I'm a full-on believer. And I think I showed you the difference, but I'll reinforce it one more time when we go back to my home screen. So again, last thing is you want to make sure that you put in a budget, right? So click on the budget. You can decide how long you want the ad to run. Know that it's typically about 24 hours for it to start running, because Facebook needs time to actually approve the ad. And then how much do I want to spend? So you can see duration here, because I spent $30, it's going to be $3 per day. When we visited Facebook's headquarters at MegaCamp, they essentially told us that typically no less than 7, no more than 30 days on your ad. So no less than 7, no more than 30. And typically an ad spend of $2 to $3 per day at minimum. If you're just getting started, less is probably more, right? I don't want you to drop $300 on an ad, and because you did something wrong or something got jacked up, then it doesn't produce and you're out $300. My standard for every single one of the ads I run, just so that they're all similar and I can compare them, is 10 days, $30. So just beware, if you're doing something for an open house and it's this weekend and you run it for 10 days, well, you don't want someone to show up at the house next weekend and then calling you saying, where are you? You said you had an open house. And you're like, oh, that was last weekend. Oh, I clicked on a Facebook ad that said you had one this weekend, right? So just be careful if it's time sensitive stuff. I've also had people say, well, now the property's under contract. Should I keep running the ad? Sure, right? It wasn't the only home for sale in the entire city, right? So if they click on the ad and they actually express interest, you can reach out and let them know, unfortunately, this one's off the market, but I've got many more like it. Let me go ahead and send them to you and start reaching out from there. So let's go back to the paid ads. I'm not gonna actually run this, but I would, once I wanted to, guys, just so you know, I'd click on publish campaign. From there, it's gonna make sure that you have a credit card on file. So if you don't already have a credit card on file, you'll click on add new, and know that it's your charges don't show up as Facebook. They do show up as KWRI. So you will get an email once they have charged you. My recommendation for you guys is to create a folder that says Facebook receipts or Facebook KW receipts or something like that. Unfortunately, the way that this ad reads, the charge, it also looks very similar to how they charge you for MegaCamp, for family reunion, for all of the different things that KWRI does. And so when it comes time for expenses and taxes, you want to know which one was educational based and which one was advertising and marketing. So just kind of a heads up, I would recommend create a folder to save those. So I'm going to X out and get out of that campaign. But now that I've shown you that, I want to go back. And again, remember, I talked to you about the difference between the billboard and the door knocking. So this might make a little more sense now. You can see I didn't get any leads on any of these ones that I did the landing page on. I took them straight to the landing page, but I got a lot more impressions, right? And then here is the difference between no interests and having interests. So again, I still have $4 left on a $30 spend, so about a day and 1/3 left. And I've gotten almost 3 times the number of clicks. I'm getting close to double the number of leads and almost double the number of impressions. And that is using those special interests. And this is exactly the list. This is the full list that I used on that ad for special interests. So now I'm going to add in condo. It's a townhome, but if you're interested in a condo, you probably would be interested in a townhome. So I'm going to use that the next time I run it. So we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's open it to questions. Who has questions, comments, ahas, or concerns?
Marty, it's Maria. Can I ask a question?
You just did. Do you want to ask another one?
No, I didn't. Oh, okay.
That's just okay.
Yes. So I have been doing many ads since January, okay? And it was working very well. But lately, when you do the URL from your website, from the area you want, the landing page you want them to come back to.
Sure.
Very often now, people are telling me that, when they click on it, it didn't work. Even though I tried. I tried, of course, before I posted.
So what I think is happening, and it's already been reported to labs and they're working on it with the next app update. If your client has the Keller Williams app downloaded on their phone and they are viewing your ad on their phone and they click on this landing page link, it's actually going to open in their app. But what happens is it doesn't take them specifically to the property. It takes them to a map page with that address right in the center. and then they're going to have to figure out which one of those houses is the one that you're actually using. So
No, that's not the point, because I'm talking about Facebook ads, so they're not my client.
right, but so what? When you say they're not working, what part's not working?
Well, they say that, so I use the URL of my KW website with a search. Like if I send them a specific area in Miami Beach or whatever, you know, marketing a specific area, use the URL of the property in that area. And they tell me when they clicked on the link, they're not what was advertised in the ad.
Yeah, so do me a favor, send me that via email and let me look into it. It's really hard to say without looking at the actual ad itself.
No, but basically the link, the URL doesn't show whatever we said. So even though I tried the URL before, I double check it before I copy it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I use Bitly to reduce it. Sometimes I leave it the way it is. But basically it's a broken URL. That's what they're saying.
Well, and here's one thing I will say, if you got to make sure that you take out the extra HTTPS. So what I mean by that is when you are putting in the actual link, for some reason, and it's kind of annoying, again, it's been reported, but when I go to put the landing page in, here's my landing page, and I click here, you see how HTTPS is automatically added?
Yeah.
But then if I go to copy this address and I drop it in, well, now I've got HTTPS.
No, I'm very careful at that because I tried. I double check, a triple check, and tried myself. No, it's not that.
Well, go ahead and send it to me and let me take a look and see if I can.
No, I mean, I guess it's just, I was just wondering if more people are telling you that, because I didn't have this 3 months ago. This is kind of recent.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of ads, so it's not like.
I've not heard of it, so I'm happy to look for you though.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Marty, good afternoon. It's Edgar Rojas here. How you doing? Would you be able to detail basically from the number of impressions to what would be the algorithm from the number of impressions to the actual number of leads, if you will, on any given advertising? Is there a rule on that, you think?
Yeah, I wish there was. I look at some other agents that are doing even more ads than I am, and I'm like, how in the heck, right? Because theirs is significantly higher. It's really, I mean, it's like algorithm, right? Like the Facebook algorithm is kind of like, you know, the deep, dark, hidden secret of Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know how it works. I don't know if there is any given, like it could be on Sundays, the algorithm works this way, but on Mondays, we change it. I don't know that there is any, I have not seen a correlation. So I think it really depends on the market, on the targeting, on the budget, on, you know what I mean? As far as impressions, I have not found any like 20-1 or 15-1. It's the call to action too, right? Mm-hmm. You might have a ton of impressions, but if you don't tell them to do something, then they're not going to do something, right? So you and I could run the exact same ad, but except you're going to say, click here for this. And I'm just going to say, isn't this a pretty house? Well, you're going to get much more clicks because you've actually told the people to click on your ad. So right now I have not seen a correlation or a standard as far as that goes.
Right. Yeah. I you know, somehow I had a 4,031 impressions at one point, and all I can think of is about the budget that I use, because other than that, it differs from somebody else that ran the same exact ad. All right. And they got at least 8 leads. I don't know how many impressions they got, but they had 8 leads as opposed to, I followed everything that you're saying here. So, it might've been budget based, if you will. I only use $5, to be honest.
Yeah, that's probably not enough. Typically, like I said, you need to have $2 to $3 per day and run that ad for at least 7, probably more like 10 days. So typically, you're going to need to invest per ad $25 to $30 to start. In that
I did 5 days, so not good.
Yeah, it was a good start. At least you learned the process, and then next time around, you can increase that budget.
Absolutely.
I had a couple of questions in the chat. Let me knock those out. So let's see. Wendy was asking about the 66. Here's the reality. She was saying sometimes if the screen looks different than yours does. I hope you didn't go all the way back to 1.0. And if you did, thank you, but stop it.
No.
1.0 was like 2 years ago, right? So
I
you'll
didn't
want to
do
make sure that you're on 3.0 or better,
Yes.
because those are the most recent videos. And even then, there have been videos that I've recorded in 3.0 that have changed since. You were asking about designs. What I have seen is sometimes, I'm guessing it's the applet buttons on the left-hand side go away.
No, and I apologize. I don't remember the specific issue, but I was working on a buyer consultation and I was following you along step by step, and there were things you were saying next or that I'll see, and it wasn't that what I was seeing. And it happened on a couple of the different videos, and it just was a little frustrating. But
All in designs?
That one was designs. I'm not sure if the other was also designs or not. It happened a couple of times.
Sure. Well, what I would advise any of you guys to do, because it's a great tool, period, but then especially reporting things to your, whether it's Market Center Tech Trainer or Regional Technology Trainer, because you guys joined me today, I'm happy to look into some issues that your guys are having specifically, but go download Loom. So Loom instead of Zoom, loom.com. It's free. It's a Chrome add-on. And what it's going to do after you download it, it's going to create this little volleyball looking icon here at the top of your screen. And as soon as you click on it, you have the ability to record your screen, your audio, and your camera if you choose to. You don't have to have your camera on. You can leave the camera off. But it'll let you kind of say, hey, here's what I'm doing, and here's what I'm clicking, and here's what I'm seeing, and why doesn't it look like yours? Because it's one thing for you to say, hey, it doesn't look like yours, but if I have no idea where you are or what you clicked on, it's hard for me to replicate that. So I will say typically in my region, when someone says something like that, hey, I'm having an issue, I literally say, hey, can you loom it for me? And then send it over. Typically, when you're moving issues for your Market Center Tech Trainer to look at your RTT to look at, the RTT gets it. If we can't solve it, we send it to tier 2. But the first thing tier 2 asks us for is a video. So important to have that. So Wendy, if you want to, if you can replicate that issue, feel free to send me a video. I'm happy to check it out for you.
Thank you much. And then I had another question. Once we get these leads, for those of us who have not done a lot of ads or dealt with follow-up or where do you I know it's not part of the class, but can you just direct us where to go next, or which, if you have a video, what to do once you've got the lead in terms of the follow-up? We put them on a smart plan, or, you know, what should we be doing with them and dealing with the frustration of calling the number or emailing and you don't get anywhere?
100%. So I would develop a smart plan. And if you're following my challenge, I think it's days 5 and 6 that we actually create the Facebook follow-up smart plan. Command Your Conversion as a Facebook group that has a lot of smart plans in there. Command Your database. I don't know why they didn't just call it Command Your Smart Plan, but whatever. There's a lot of them out there. If you're following mine, I actually have in the description of the video the exact text that I use for each email and each text message. And so you can just copy and paste it and then make it your own. But I'll be honest with you, I don't call my Facebook leads. I know everyone's going to cringe. And they're like, what? Like,
I wanted to ask that.
Like, I just don't have the time. I know that sounds bad, but my full-time job is regional technology trainer, right? So when I'm running these ads, typically I'm running them so that I'm familiar with the product, so I can demonstrate the product. And I do about 1 or 2 deals per month from agent referrals, Katy, Texas, Houston, Texas, by the way, if you guys didn't hear that, right? So agent referrals, past client referrals are my sphere. So right now that townhome is actually my brother-in-law's property. So that's why I'm running ads on it to generate interest. That being said, I immediately tag them with Facebook ad. I tag them with the neighborhood they're in so that I can later target them for different neighborhood events. I assign them the neighborhood that the listing is in. So even though I don't have their address, I know they've expressed interest in this particular neighborhood. So therefore I assign them to that neighborhood within Command. And then I add them to my smart plan, which is a follow-up smart plan of emails and text. It runs about 25 days and then leads into the long-term nurture smart plan, which is another 6 months. So that's essentially what I do. I just leverage the heck out of it. I literally, as soon as I get the lead, it takes me about 5 minutes. Tag, assign neighborhood, drop on smart plan, and I'm done until they start texting me back. And I will say that I've gotten a good number of texts back from those leads. Now, most of them have been, we're not looking, or this is the wrong number, or that kind of deal, but at least they're responding, right? So I know that they actually exist. But that's essentially what I've been working on.
Hey, Marty?
I also noticed that Nick Baldwin I think it's on Lab Coat Agents, has a good follow-up smart plan too that he shared.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Marty, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay, I got a quick question. There used to be a time when running Facebook ads in Command, you can select a few pictures with your listing, and then what Facebook would do is based on, I guess create individual ads, and then based on which one's receiving more traffic and more leads, they used to leave that one there and then abort the other ones. I thought that was great because I used to get a higher cost or a lower cost per lead. So do you know anything about that? Is that coming back? Because I thought that was a great feature.
So yes and no. If you run the advertise multiple listings, whichever listing is typically generating more interest will be the one that they move forward on that. So it's kind of that version, but you can't do the actual lead gen form on that. So I don't know why they got rid of that, to be completely transparent. Right now, you can add additional photos, but it's just a carousel. And so it's just going to show you all 5 or 3 or whatever it is. I have not heard, I have to imagine it had something to do with Facebook's API, and Facebook decided that we're not going to allow you to do that anymore, because I can't see Keller Williams making that decision.
Gotcha. All right.
Well, guys, we've gone over about 5 minutes. Barry, you're going to be my last question because I saw you talking. And I hope you weren't saying hello to your wife. So go ahead and let me know what's up.
No wife here. I got an ex. I've got about 10 people in my group running these ads, and the ones that are actually getting appointments, they're doing like, speed to lead, and they do try to get on the phone right away and talk to them. They don't get them on the phone. They'll send them a text and they'll put them on a smart plan immediately, and they're getting appointments. And the people who are not doing that, they're getting the leads and calling them up 2 or 3 days later, and they're not getting appointments. So, make sure that your settings are set right, and that you're actually getting it sent to your phone. And as soon as it gets to your phone, call them. And if you can't call them because you're on an appointment, have your Kelly set up so that they get a text, hey, I'm on an appointment now. Thanks for asking these questions. I'll get back to you immediately. And put you in front of them, because they're going to be calling other people as well.
I'll leave you guys with one last tip based upon what Barry said, and that has to do with Kelly. So a lot of times I have people say, well, I never got the notification. Never got it. I have Kelly set up, but I never got the notification. If you have an iPhone, sorry, Android users, I think this actually is built into your phones. iPhone users, we got to go in and do this. So click on the settings on your iPhone, go find that gear, and then just scroll down. Don't judge me for the number of apps I have downloaded, but just keep going down until you find Kelly. Click on Kelly, and then click on notifications. So everyone see the red banner notifications there, second to last bar. Click on notifications. And then you'll see right in the middle of the screen, it says, oh shoot, darn it. If you click on notifications, and there you go, it'll say banner style. Do you see banner style in the middle of the screen? Make sure that that is persistent. I think when you download Kelly the first time, it defaults to temporary, which means it'll flash on the screen for 3 to 5 seconds and then it'll go away. You want that to be persistent, meaning that if you set your phone down for a few minutes and you pick it back up, it'll be there, that notification will be there ready for you to see. So that's the last nugget I've got for you. Hope that was worth it. And guys, it was a pleasure. I really look forward to seeing you. I mean, I've been saying Mega Camp, but we'll have to see each other virtually at Mega Camp, and hopefully the world will get back together and we'll all get to see each other at family reunion back in wherever that's going to be. I don't even know if they've told us where family reunion is going to be next year. So if you have any referrals for the Katy or Houston area, I'd love to work them. And if you have any other questions for me, feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Marty. We
Thanks so much, Marty.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, guys. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.